Hello, everybody. This is Bruce Johnson with the Epic Real Estate Investors Association with our next edition of our Epic Real Estate Revolution podcast here with my co-host, Logan Krutsch. Hey, Logan.
Hey, Bruce. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. A little tired today, but I'm good.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going around.
Yep. So I was putting in hardwood flooring today, so my back is not as young as it used to be. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, we're kind of doing a little interview tour amongst the group.
Right.
Some of our favorite members here. We have James coming up this week.
Yep. James Patterson here. He's one of our most avid students. I think you've probably watched classes more times than I could count, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Logan. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah. Well, so James and Logan, they co-host the Essential Study Group every Tuesday night. They're facilitating that group there. And James is a product of the product, like Logan is, and myself. And he's been involved with us a little over a year. Started
that's correct.
January, and he's going to tell a little bit about his background. But James has been gainfully employed for the last 25 years as a machinist.
That's correct, yep. I work for a small family-run company in McHenry. Like you said, I've been there 25 years. It's been a good job. It's been a fun job. I like what I do. I just don't always enjoy some of the nuances of the job. That's kind of what led me to look for other things to do.
Okay.
And I've looked at real estate in the past. Probably about 15 or so years ago, I bought the old Carbon Sheets product. I think somewhere if I looked hard enough, I'd find that green binder with all those cassette tapes.
Cassette tapes, yeah. There you go.
But 15 years ago, I didn't think I was ready for it, and kind of put it in the back of my mind, but was always interested in it. And then, in the last probably 2 years, started looking back into it some more.
Okay.
Came across your guys' group and really found a nice home here.
Yeah. Been a welcome addition to the team here, and I know.
Thank you.
I know when we first started talking, you came out to a couple of presentations, and that
Yep.
you were like, I'm not sure. My bigger pocket's quite a bit. I'm taking a lot of things online that are free, and I'm not sure if
a lot of YouTube University. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I get any more value being part of your group or not. So
right.
It's hard to describe what that feels like. I mean.
Looking back, I would definitely say I did receive a lot of value from the group. And one of the things that made me join the group was the fact that you guys met on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it made me accountable not only to myself, but to other people as well, which I found very helpful moving forward.
I think that. Well, I met your wife, obviously.
Yeah, a couple times.
She's been prodding you along too.
She has. Yeah, she's been the impetus of a lot of stuff that's happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's really really cool when we see families come together with this program, and you and your dad, Logan, and we have several in our group that have husband wives, or
right.
Tonight we have a new father daughter starting with our group, and they really are inspired by the family opportunity.
Sure.
Right. So people are out there looking for options to create more financial freedom.
Absolutely.
And creating a plan B, as we talked about before. And I give you kudos. I mean, 25 years with the same employer. That's not a lot of people can say that. That's for sure.
No, especially not today.
No, not at all.
Job security is kind of an oxymoron. I mean, you just don't hear people working that long for the same employer.
Right.
With family company is a little bit different because you have that connection. You're not dealing with a corporate entity where.
Yeah, you get a little more of that small family feel.
Right.
But,
so there's pluses and minuses to it, and I certainly encourage people to stay with their employment and get their real estate business going, and really figure out their way inside of this business. It can be very rewarding.
Yeah, that's what's nice about real estate is it can be a great plan B because you can put as little effort into it as you want, or as much effort into it as you want, and it can dovetail into the rest of your life.
Right.
It doesn't have to be 24/7. It doesn't have to be a full-time job if you don't want it to be. It does require some dedication and some persistence.
Yeah.
A lot of times it requires a lot of persistence.
Well, you're getting a lot of wise counsel as you're learning how to do it. Mark Kohler talks about buying one rental per year, for the next 10 years of building a portfolio over time. Not trying to get rich quick overnight, but
Slow and steady can win their race.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we talk about that in the class, using the four currencies, leveraging those, so yeah, I mean, that's where the group definitely comes into big play, is taking advantage of those currencies
yeah,
with the not only the education, but the resources with the other people in the group.
Yeah.
Very valuable.
right.
Yeah, you touched on a little bit earlier how good it has been to have the group there to hold you accountable, and that's actually something that we teach to the members of the group, is basically, hey, write down your goals and then go and tell everybody these
Yeah.
goals.
You're right. That was something that was a big thing last fall when you and your dad taught the course. One of the things you asked us, or everybody, to do was to do our goals. And I remember looking back early in the semester, around September or so, we did our goal sheets, and we talked about our 1 year, our 3 year, our 5 year, and our 10 year goals. And one of my goals was to buy some sort of real estate property by the end of the year. And I managed to do that come November.
Yep.
And going back to the family thing, I probably wouldn't have done that had it not been for the encouragement of my wife.
Yeah.
She, the property's a little distance away. It's in Rockford. And I came home from another networking group and talked about somebody I met. And she says, well, that was on a Tuesday evening. And, Sunday morning, she's going, well, come on, let's go look at that property. And I'm like, really, you think? And she's like, yeah, come on, let's go. What are you waiting for? She's like, you said you wanted to do this. Let's, why are you dragging your feet?
Yeah.
So, about 30 days after that first look, I had a deal done and moved forward from there.
That's awesome.
So,
That's awesome. It takes. That's what's cool about the group and letting people know what you're up to, because they'll start prompting you.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it?
Right.
What's holding you back? You and your dad, Logan. Your dad prompted you to turn the car around and go take a look at that sign and
certainly.
make the phone call. And I've had people in the group that prompted me to get involved in this big development deal. Now it's like, why aren't you doing this? So.
yeah, and the group aspect is great too, because you sit there for even a couple months and you start looking around at the other people that are doing stuff, and you thought, well, wait a minute, that guy's doing stuff. Why can't I do it too?
Exactly.
And that's that I think is also a very valuable part of the group.
Right.
As you mentioned, I've been now with the group for almost a year, so we go in like our 6-month semesters,
Right.
and the first 2 semesters I spent as a student.
Right.
The way I like to describe it is I spent the first semester kind of gathering all the pieces of the puzzle together
Right.
and finding the border and all the edges, and then that second semester is where I was able to really start filling in the pieces,
Yeah.
and the picture started to come clearer and clearer.
Yeah.
And then you asked me to facilitate for the
Well,
third time around. So
well,
I appreciate that very much.
We like to have products of the product, facilitating the group. I think it was midway through the first semester when I think I was running that class at that time, and you were like, I would like to do this someday. I'm like, you know what? I'd like for you to do it too. So,
Yeah, I threw my hat over the wall, as they say, and last January you're like, all right, come get your hat. So here I am. No, I've enjoyed it a lot. I have enjoyed learning from the other people in the group as much as helping them to understand the stuff. And that was a big reason why I wanted to help facilitate the group, was to help other people understand it and give in that way, but also receive back by learning from the other people as well.
It takes on a whole new dynamic when you're actually having to facilitate and
it does.
lead people in the group versus just being a student and one that's just watching classes and kind of participating. So it's a whole different level of learning. So I certainly encourage people that want to take it to the next level to look at becoming a product of the product. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually something we're doing a little bit less of this semester, but we had the learning pyramid, if you remember that. And so it's kind of levels of retention and levels of learning. And on the base of this pyramid, the foundation of it is going out and teaching other people is the best way to guarantee that you yourself know what you're talking about.
Yeah, not only teaching it, but implementing it too. You could sit there and be a bookworm all you want, but until you actually go out and practice what you've learned, you're really not much of a product of the product. You're just a consumer of the information.
Right. Right. So it really takes on another dimension when you actually take action on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's cool to have resources at the group that you can call on and say, hey, I'm not quite sure if this makes sense or not. Can you look at this with me?
Right.
Right? So, you know.
Yeah, and I can definitely credit the group for the action because of the weekly involvement in the group and the interaction with other people. And like I said, I would not have gotten involved had it not been for the weekly group.
Yeah.
I know myself. I know my past experiences with stuff is that, you know, without that weekly support, you know, I'll finish all the materials, but it'll go back on the shelf and collect dust and
Yep.
be right next to the Carlton Sheets package sitting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I did that back in the '90s. Took
Sure.
the Carlton Sheets courses, and I watched it. I listened to the cassette tapes and went through the
Right,
workbook
yep.
and all that, and and at the end of all that, having been a consumer of it, but I didn't know how to take action.
Mhm.
So I didn't have that local support that really made a big difference.
Yeah, and back then too, you know, my only resources for other real estate experience was my father-in-law had owned some properties and built some stuff, and they didn't have such a great experience with it all.
Yeah.
I mean, they were building spec homes back when the interest rates were back in the high double digits.
Oh, wow.
You know? I mean, like, you know, in the
Like
teens.
Late '70s.
Yeah,
early 80s,
yeah, you know, and so that was kind of my frame of reference a little bit, and
Yeah.
it wasn't always the best. And I think even looking back, you know, if this group had been there 15 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been in my job for 25 years. I
Oh.
probably would be down a different path, I honestly believe.
There's nothing wrong with having your W-2.
No, not at all.
As long as you have a side hustle going on, and
Right.
you can be able to take advantage of the tax savings, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot to learn there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been so many things that I thought I knew that now I know I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you learn it, right?
Right.
And being able to take advantage of the tax benefits of doing stuff
Yeah.
is something we got a big benefit from the group, and I really look forward to doing more stuff with a self-directed IRA.
Okay.
You know, I've heard of them before, but never knew you could really do as much as you can with them when it comes to real estate as well as other investments.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Start a snowball effect with that, where
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
start with a little bit and start doing some transactional stuff, and then
Yep.
turn that into a much larger, pie to,
Yeah,
down at the end of the road. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, absolutely.
cool. So, what are some of the key epiphanies that you've learned over the last year?
Oh, wow. You know, inside the group, there's been a lot of support from people, but outside the group, I do a lot of reading. You know, some personal growth books, some real estate books, but, epiphany-wise, I keep pushing myself. You know, I keep putting myself in uncomfortable positions. Like offering to teach the class, and then
Yeah.
looking back and going, "Wow, what do you possess me to do that?" You know. Same thing with my first deal. It was like, I didn't think it was going to go down in 30 days, but it did, and it pushed me a little bit because it was like, okay, now you have to find funding for this deal, and it was like, all right, how am I going to do that? And you kind of put your back up against the wall a little bit, and I know it's not for everybody. Some people like to plan it all out.
Yeah.
But, I think, even looking back to high school, I was always one of those guys that wait to the last minute to finish that report or that paper or whatever was due,
yeah. Definitely
yeah.
when you step into uncharted water, so to speak, you're not comfortable
Right.
with, you got to get used to being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
a little bit of my background. When I started the club back in, took over the old club, that was in 2012. There was another guy I was going to do it with. He was going to be the front of the room guy. And I basically dropped out of high school because of being afraid of public speaking. So, talk about a growth experience. The guy, it didn't work out with this guy being in front of the room, so guess who's in front of the room? It was me. I'll tell you, I had sleepless nights. I had anxiety you wouldn't believe. I mean, just like I was in the mindset that everything had to be just perfect. Every word had to be spoken properly. Everything had to be just perfectly in line. It was like, you know what? Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good point. If you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll never take action.
Right.
And it's very much, I guess that's another one of those epiphanies with the group. It's
Right.
like you could prepare all you want, but it's never going to be perfect.
Right.
And you have to learn by moving forward and just kind of learning along the way sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's
Your wings.
definitely been the case, I think, with a lot of people. Some of the people in the group are doing stuff, and they're sort of feeling their way through it along the way.
Yeah.
But the group is there to help, and
Right.
that's the comforting thing about it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we certainly had an incredible semester last semester in terms of how many people actually went out and did a deal. There was probably 15 people in the group, and gosh, did we have 4 people do deals last semester?
Yeah, at least.
At
Four
least,
or five, maybe.
We probably had another 5 or 6 that had already had real estate. Just
But new deals, yeah.
Yeah, new
People
deals,
that
yeah.
purchase new property
Yeah.
or of some way, shape, or
we had at
form.
least a third of this class who do their first deal.
Like, that's pretty powerful to have almost a 40% success
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Within that first period of time.
Right. So it's a good incubator for learning and taking action on it, and people are prompted there to
Right.
see if that deal makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's something I find myself, I use it as a motivating tool to know that it doesn't have to be perfect, and I am still in the early learning stages of it all.
Okay.
I reflect back on my own career and being 25 years at the same place. Everything we do comes so easy to me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, it's because I've been doing it for a while.
Right.
And you look around and you look at some of the people even in our group that have been at it for a while, and you think, wow, that guy's got it so good. But he's been doing it a long time. He's practiced and he's honed that skill. And,
Right.
I have to kind of give myself a little bit of a break and say, you know what? Give yourself time to hone that skill too.
Right.
But you have to practice that skill.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So
Yeah.
we talked about the 4 currencies. We want to explain that real quick. What those are. The most obvious one, which is
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious one would be money, right?
Right.
It's just a currency. We can use it to buy whatever we want with. Well, most things.
right.
Some say it can't buy happiness. Some might disagree.
Yeah.
But,
well, not necessarily buy you happiness, but it'll buy you real estate, and the money doesn't have to be yours. And that's
Correct,
one of the cool
yeah.
things about through the education, the knowledge piece. That's probably right up there with money. Is having
Right.
the knowledge. It's the
Mhm.
second currency that's available. And then the third currency is the community and having the support around you. Having those relationships in place. And then the one that we don't get any more of, which is the most precious currency,
Mm-hmm.
which
That's
is
time.
Time, right?
Boy, you're telling me.
Yeah. And
I kind of geeked out a little bit today in a little preparation for this podcast. And, I work a full-time plus job, in order to make a good living for what I do. I have to work a lot of overtime.
Sure.
So, my hours are typically about 53 hours a week.
Well,
And so over the last 25 years, I think I calculated up, I've worked probably close to 96,000 hours. And it's like,
Wow.
man, when you do it like that, it's sort of crazy.
that's
But,
several years of your life there. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and,
Yeah.
and I work with some guys that are getting along in years, and they're one guy's like 7 years away from retirement. I mean, and they're counting down the days already. And it's like, I got 7 years and 2 months, and he's like, but you got 25 more. And I'm like, oh my God, don't even go there, John.
Yeah. It's always nice to have options.
Right.
And those
Yep.
options, that you plan for and you took action on that can pave a way to a different future if you want to choose.
Right.
It, right. So
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah. My short-term goal is to try to have enough income with real estate to be able to at least cut back on my overtime.
Sure.
So I have a number in mind there. Like I say, I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I
Yeah.
do,
Yep.
but I just don't want to have to do it so much.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so James, I want to hear about your deal. How did you find it? Maybe just what is it in the first place?
Yeah, so it's a single-family home. It's located out in Rockford. It's kind of your cookie-cutter, 1,400 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Mm-hmm.
I purchased it from a gentleman who's been in real estate for several years, invested in the area of Rockford. I met him through kind of being uncomfortable, going out to other groups and other RIA meetings and whatnot. And, ironically, when I kind of looked at the list of people that were going to be attending the group, for some reason his name jumped out because of the region that he invests in. And I kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to make sure I get a chance to talk to this guy.
Right.
And so I did spend quite a bit of time talking to him and build a little bit of rapport with him. And he kind of mentioned that he had a property that he was going to let go and for a number of circumstances. And But, he kind of threw it out there, and it sounded like a great deal. It was a very affordable property and right up my alley, and needed a little bit of work, which I felt comfortable doing. And then he kind of pulled back on it a little bit. He goes, yeah, I think my father-in-law wants to buy it. And so I thought the deal was off the table, but that was the property that my wife had said, hey, let's go look at it. He gave me the address and whatnot. So about a week and a half later, I get a text message from him, and he goes, yeah, my father-in-law doesn't want it. You want it? I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm in,
Right.
And that kind of set the ball rolling.
Okay.
So, over about the course of a month, I went out and found some private money, borrowed some private money to purchase the house. Took a little bit extra from them to do some rehab, and then threw in some of my own money as well.
Okay.
So I closed on that just before Thanksgiving last November.
Okay.
So I've had it now, not quite 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I've spent the winter doing the rehab on it. Being it's my first house, and probably, I know I'm going over budget and getting a little carried away, but from what I hear, it's all those first house mistakes you need to make. I don't know if that's true or not, but you'd think I'd know better from the education. But it's winding down. I'm hoping to have it listed here by the end of the month.
As a rental, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a buy and hold rental.
Okay.
I think the numbers are good enough on it that once I get it leased out for a little bit of time, I can go get some traditional bank financing and pull everybody's money out, get my private money paid back, and get myself paid back a little bit. And
So what are the numbers on it? What are your all-in numbers you put purchase and rehab on it?
so I purchased the house. The purchase price on the house was
Okay.
$25,000. I took out an additional $5,000. So I took out a private loan for $30,000.
Okay.
I've put in probably an additional $7,000 of my own money.
Okay.
So I'm all in for, was that 32?
Maybe a little more than that. I think it's like 37.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, 37.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all in for 37, but everything I've seen market-wise for the comps and everything, I should conservatively, if I had to sell it today, I could probably list it for 50.
Yeah.
So I feel okay going into it there.
Yeah.
Rental-wise, I'm going to probably list it for about $900 a month.
Wow.
So it should cash flow pretty good.
Yeah, those are nice numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's in a decent neighborhood. I mean, I'd call it a C-class neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's solid. A lot of rentals in the neighborhood. It's in a great location. There's a park across the street from it, and I've had a chance actually this weekend. I got a chance to meet some of the neighbors, and they've all said very good things about the neighborhood.
Good.
And it's it's a little scary. You hear negative things about an area, certain areas of Rockford and this and that. And that was one of the big questions I had with for the gentleman that I purchased the house from. I'm like, what's just kind of give me the lay of the land out there.
Yeah.
What's a good area to go to? What's a bad area to go to? And he's been a great resource. He's a very nice guy to deal with, and
Right.
He didn't just shake my hand at the closing table and give me a pat on the back and say good luck.
Right.
He's been there for several things that I've reached out to him for,
Yeah.
and has told me, hey, if there's anything that comes up or you need, just give me a shout.
Yeah.
He's like, I have a very, very deep bench in that area and has a
Yeah.
lot of resources, and
Okay.
it's very true.
It's good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice to kind of have another local mentor, so to speak.
Right.
Somebody I can.
Somebody knows that market.
Exactly.
That's-
That's very important.
Yeah.
I mean, that helped alleviate the fears of going to a market that's almost an hour away from me.
Sure.
But it was very reassuring having somebody like that kind of have your back on the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, Rockford's always been known as a good cash flow area. It's not
Yeah.
really an area with much appreciation, but
No, and if you know that going into it, I think you go into the deal with your eyes wide open.
Right.
That's the most important thing.
Definitely.
And my first initial goal with any deal was to just buy it for the cash flow.
Got it.
So
Got it.
yeah,
So pick up a dozen of those over the next few years, and that's a
that's
pretty
a
good
step in the
cash
right
flow,
direction, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any plans basically to pick up more? Like, what's your forward-looking strategy?
Yeah, I've looked at some other stuff in that area, mostly just kind of keeping an eye on the the Zillows and the Redfins and that sort of thing. And two, kind of keeping my finger on the pulse of what the market's bringing in. Now that the weather's getting a little bit nicer and I'm getting a little more time to be able to drive around, I'm trying to look for some, for sale by owners and stuff like that. I'd like to do more stuff with owner financing.
Okay.
Because that market is on the lower side, it's kind of
Right.
hard to pick up traditional bank financing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to do more of that.
Yeah.
My sister works in some of the hospitals out there, so I've talked with her a little bit over the holidays, and she actually even alluded that she might know some people that are looking to get out of some houses. So,
Yeah.
so that might be a good resource to start looking for some off-market deals and
Okay.
and seeing what they're interested in.
Awesome.
So we're in March now. Do you think by the end of the year you're going to be able to acquire at least one more?
My goal is to at least acquire two more.
Two more. Awesome.
Whether it be in the form of two more single families or at least maybe a duplex.
Okay.
Duplexes are always an attractive thing. You kind of can balance out your numbers by splitting the rent between two tenants.
Right. Right.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
But there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of different things out there.
Right.
It's depending on who you talk to. Some people think it's a little bit of a hidden gem. It's I don't know. I don't know if I'd compare it to Detroit or not, but it's. But I don't know. Everybody has their different feelings about it,
Right.
and then there's other people that look in the Chicago area market and go, it's just too darn expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make a cash flow. The taxes are too high.
Right. That's
all
the
those sorts of
challenge.
things.
Yeah.
So.
You get into the B and the A and the B markets, it's tough to cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Get good positive cash flow like you do
Exactly.
out there.
Yeah.
So,
Go to the markets that are going to cash flow for you.
absolutely. Well, congratulations, man. It's
Well, thank you.
good to hear your story and know more about what your plans are for this year. So you put it out to the universe. I mean, you talked about 1-2 more this year.
Mm-hmm. Two more.
So, you know what? We're going to check
There
in
I
with
go
you.
again, throwing my hat over the wall.
We're going to check in with you by the end of the year and see where you're at, because I think you're going to be at least there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I
you're gonna have some
I don't even think so. I know so.
Yeah.
I know so because I've had this discussion with my wife, and
Yeah.
if anybody's going to hold my feet to the fire, it's going to be her.
Yes.
Yeah. So and I appreciate that of her, and
Yeah.
she supports me, and
Yeah.
you mentioned about the family involvement. My young adult children have been out to the property with me and put a paintbrush in their hand and get them to work.
Put it on the payroll,
Yeah.
man.
That's right. Yeah. Another one of those great tax strategies.
That's it.
Little
So-
payroll matrix in there.
The
There you
payroll
go.
matrix, that's it.
Yep.
Get the
Yep.
4 quadrants out and make it work, right?
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So, all right. Well, thank you, James, for being our guest today.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. And Logan, any party thoughts on?
I will say this: talk to me after the podcast because I might have a duplex lead for you. But other than that,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't really have anything.
Well, you talked. We talked briefly yesterday. You had like 60 apartments you were looking at.
Yeah, so actually out in Rockford, very close to where James's house is. I was just going down the Marcus and Millichap website because I'm always looking for whatever the next multifamily will be.
Right.
Ideally, it'll be larger than 20 units, so I'm constantly progressing. But I found one out in Loves Park, 60 units. His purchase price is a little high, $3 million. So, right, that's almost $50,000 a unit.
Yeah.
Out in Rockford, that's brand new. It might be $50,000, but this is built way back in the mid '70s.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, we'll see what we can do. I'm sure a lot of you heard Mike last week, the creative financing genius.
Right.
So I'll need to talk to him about that and
Right.
just see where I can go. But I haven't given up on it at all.
No. So, well, your goal is to get another 60 or 80 units this year, right?
It is 80 units, and I did say in there I would be disappointed if I didn't get 80. But let's just say in an ideal world I can make this 60 unit happen. I would still be pretty happy.
Right. That's awesome.
So.
Well, kudos to you as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
very good. Well, we're going to wrap it up for today. So, if you guys are interested in learning more about our group here, we run the Epic RIA Club here. It's the Epic Real Estate Investment Association, and our website is epicreia.com. We also host property tours throughout the month. This next week, we're going to be going to Barrington, going back to McHenry in a few weeks. We'll be going out to Logan and your dad's property here in a few weeks after that.
Mm-hmm.
a lot going on here. So if you're interested in going to our property tours, you can go to localpropertytour.com, and make sure that you, if you like this podcast, you got value out of it. Make sure that you like it, that you share it with others, get the word out there about our group, and
Subscribe to it.
Subscribe, subscribe
so you get the notifications when we put out a new
Absolutely.
one.
And the whole medley of these things going here, so it's been fun.
Yep. Yes, it has.
Yes. So thanks, Logan, for being co-host today. James, once again, thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Folks, we'll be in touch with you soon. You guys have a great day, and go make it happen.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care.